This is the Turn Your Life Around podcast, and I'm the 180 lady. I've been helping people turn their lives around since 2007 as the founder and CEO of a large mental health company. The purpose of this podcast is to have meaningful conversations with old friends and new friends, everyday people just like you and me, about how they turn their lives around. We'll discuss all things mental health, fitness, finances, relationships, parenting, spirituality, you name it. My hope is that you can take something away that will encourage you today. I'm your host, Sarah Coates. Are you ready to turn your life around? Hello and welcome. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you.
I'm here with Charlotte Louie. She is the CEO and founder of SenterMe Wellness. She's a mother of two, a certified meditation practitioner. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
This is going to be a good conversation. I have a good feeling.
Yeah.
We were already chatting before the podcast started, and I felt a good energy, a synergistic kind of energy. I think this is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to share a little bit about your bio. You're the CEO, like I said, of SenterMe, a platform dedicated to forging a clear and accessible path to emotional wellness and stress relief for women professionals. You mentioned that you contemplated what to share about with your journey, and you realized your story has been a tapestry woven with a myriad of experiences and profound transformations. SenterMe was conceived from a place of profound self-love, a journey that propelled you to become an advocate for emotional wellness and stress management among dynamic women. I love dynamic women.
Yes.
I believe you're a dynamic woman. I have a feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I love what you're doing here, and I love the way that you're amplifying voices like mine and other women who've been on the podcast. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think professional women really need a place of safe, sacred space to really process all their emotional stress.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is super valuable. And I can't wait for you to share more about it on this podcast. And then we're going to, like you said, amplify. We're going to blast it out across the triangle and beyond and let other people get connected with your SenterMe. So tell us a little bit, how did you come up with the name SenterMe?
Thank you for asking me that. So, I was torn in between whether or not I wanted to help women to get a strong sense of themselves, or did I want to focus on centering, helping them to center themselves?
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I can do both.
Yeah.
And so then I just dropped the C and put an S in front of center.
Yes. I know. I should have said that. SenterMe with an S. S-E-N-T. That's so cool.
But yeah,
a little
that was
play
my
on words
goal.
there.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, like your background, your backstory. How did you get from where you were to where you are? You know, this is the Turn Your Life Around podcast. So I love hearing how people have turned their lives around, which is the focus. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about where you came from and how you got here.
Yeah. So man, I'm trying to pick a good starting point because I feel like my life has just been this build up. This everything was dependent on the thing before it. But I will say that the biggest change or turning point, if you will, in my life was when I was living in Charlotte and I was in an abusive relationship. And I had my first baby. I was not close to any of my family members. And so I was a first-time mom alone. Did not have any support from the father side of the family at all. And I was scared. And so that was like a very traumatic experience for me. And on top of, and I'll just go back a little bit more, on top of the fact that I had already experienced so much trauma as a child. You know, I was sexually molested up until I was in middle school, and I was very much in a previous abusive relationship in college. And so by the time this happened, I was already, struggling emotionally, mentally, physically. And so now I have a little human. And so it was one of those situations where I was just like, okay, I need to figure my stuff out. And even though I knew that was necessary. I still didn't like really dive into it really. So I was um, drinking a lot. I was drinking red wine, a bottle,
Mm.
almost every night, and it was just one of those things where I thought it was normal.
Right.
Um, and so I struggled with anxiety. I struggled with depression. I struggled with insecurity. It was a hard life. Now that I look back at it, I feel like a world away from it, but at the same time, it was just like, how was I surviving?
Right.
How was I even like getting up and going to work? Because I just remember it being so hard. And then whenever, um, and when you're in a abusive relationship too, it's just like you don't really know how to leave, when to leave. I tried leaving several times, it didn't work.
Yep.
And the last time the second to last time I left, when I came back, um, we had got pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
And then I had ended up having this mental breakdown at work. And when I was pregnant with her, and that's when I realized like my depression was a real problem. Because at this point, I couldn't even get out of bed.
Right.
And so I started looking for help, went to therapy, and she asked me something that really like intrigued me. It was like, she said, I was about to leave, and she was just like, let me ask you something before you leave. And I was just like, what's up? Because I just finished crying and all
Yeah.
this. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go,
I
girl.
got nothing left.
Right. And she was like, do you feel like you are connected with your emotions any? I was like, girl, I'm the only one in here. What do you mean? And so I thought it was a silly question because
Right.
I'm just like, who else is going to be connected to him?
Right.
And she was just like, when you talk about the things that you've been through, you talk about your experiences, I don't really see any emotional connection to them. And that was interesting to me because I was just thinking like, well, I mean, am I supposed to be walking around here crying all the time? Am I
Right.
supposed to be out here just like, what do you mean? And I think that was that first seed that was planted in me that made me realize like, okay, something is definitely wrong because she's right. Like when I talk about it, I don't feel any kind of way.
Right. Like were you numb to it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was. And so fast forward, I mustered up enough strength to move again,
Wow.
to leave again. And this time it stuck. And so it was right after I had my daughter. And I transferred my job. I was in corporate America. I was a financial advisor.
Right.
And I transferred to Wilson from Charlotte. And then I lost my job.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I got 2 babies, my son, my daughter, and now I don't have no job. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Because I don't have any, tools to handle this stress. I don't have any tools to even put a name on what it is I'm feeling. I'm not going to therapy anymore. So, therapy posed as hey, you have a problem. But I wasn't ready to dive into it really yet.
Yeah.
I think that I came to her in crisis, which a lot of people do. They go to
They do.
therapy initially through crisis and not realizing that it's something that should be ongoing. This is treatment, And so after I lost my job, I was just like, entrepreneurship was the only option that I had because I couldn't find another job in the financial industry in Wilson. It was like a completely the opposite market from Charlotte.
Right.
So I could not find another job. And so at the time I was working on like some hair products that I was selling on the side, just something that was just, making me happy outside of work and motherhood. And so I was just like, okay, I don't have a choice. I have to actually turn this into a business. And that's what I did. So like the whole next year, I focused on building my haircut company, and it helped, my family survive. And the problem though was that I went from working in corporate America to working for myself, and it did nothing to shift the anxiety, the depression, the state of survivor mode that I was
Right.
in constantly. And I was approaching my first $10,000 month a year later, and I was just like, I'm not happy. I don't know why I'm not happy, but I know I'm not happy. And this is, you know, unsettling, because a year before that, when I lost my job, I'm like, this is all I need. I just need financial security
Right.
and I'll be good.
Right.
But that night, I remember like it was yesterday, it was just like, this is some BS, because I've been working hard
Yep.
and I'm
Obviously.
not even happy.
Right.
And so I asked my sister, I was just like, do you have any idea why I'm not happy? Somebody got to tell me something.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I don't know. Maybe you just need to think about it. And I thought about it, and I came to the conclusion that maybe it was because I wasn't being patient, right? So for 6 days straight after that conversation, I prayed for patience every morning. I got up every morning and I was just like, just grant me patience. And I know that my happiness will come. And on the 7th day, I broke every bone in my left ankle. And it wasn't even dramatic, which was the part that kind of sucked, because you want to be able to kind of say like, yeah, it was a terrible accident.
Yeah, I fell off a 12-story building and survived.
But what ended up happening was I was just walking to the kitchen and I thought I rolled my ankle.
Right.
And so I'm trying to, get myself up to take another step. And when I took that step, that's when I realized, okay, I collapsed, or something was completely wrong. And that is that was the turning, the primary turning point, because now I can't distract myself with work. I can't distract myself with motherhood. I can't distract myself with trying to build this business and make these products and none of that. I have to be with myself.
Right.
And I wish I could tell you that I liked what I saw, but I didn't. I did not. And I was so upset with myself, because I realized like it was me. Like I was choosing to hold on to all of that baggage. I was choosing to hold on to the hurt. I was choosing to hold on to the stress. I was choosing to hold on to survivor mode. It was me. And a lot of people don't want to bring themselves to that conclusion, right? And it's hard because it doesn't feel good. But that's what it was. And so when I saw that there was a possibility that my life could be better, I was running towards it. So I was reading nonstop. That year I read 27 books on self-help, self-development, spirituality, meditation. If they told me that I was going to get peace, I was calling their bluff. All right, so you said if I do this, I'm going to have peace. All right, bet then. I'm going to try it. Let's do it. And so ever since then, and I've been meditating ever since, every day. And my journey was like so inspiring to me that I didn't want other women to not know that this was something that was possible for them.
Right.
And so for me, it was just like, I'm not satisfied with just knowing that I was able to change my life. I was able to fall in love with myself. I want to see other women be able to do that too. And so then the imposter syndrome hit.
Oh, I know that well. Yes.
And so once I made the decision that I wanted to help other women to, at the time I was focusing on this self-love. This is self-love. But as I got more into it, I realized, okay, what I'm really talking about is emotional wellness. And I use them interchangeably anyways. But yeah, when I started building my curriculums and teaching, I started coaching at group homes and volunteering at shelters. Just say, hey, I can come in, I can do a little class, and then I was just like, I think I can teach at a college. I think I can teach at a university. I'm gonna get them some of this self-love.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I started reaching out to colleges and universities, and I was just like, hey, I teach self-love. Hire me.
Yeah. You want to hear about it. What did they say?
So I was very strategic in that I was going through the counseling departments.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, yes. So yeah, I ended up going to schools and teaching. I went to Albany State, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, A&T, North Carolina A&T. And so we had a really good time. It was really fun. And those experiences made me realize too, like, okay, you know what? I can go bigger.
Yeah.
I can do more.
Yeah.
And I just started, getting more and more energized with the work because I started seeing like, oh, I'm not actually the only person that was experiencing this life of not knowing what it felt like to love yourself, not knowing how to communicate your emotions, not knowing how to alleviate stress, not knowing how to become more, agile in stress management. And so it's just like I'm gonna do more. So then that's when I started my failing forward season, and that's when I was just like trying any and everything, and it wasn't working. I was like, why is it not working? And that's when last July I was just like, I'm gonna focus on building my network. And then through building my network in the Triangle region, that's when I started meeting like all these other entrepreneurs and other women who were experiencing the same thing that I had previously experienced. And I was just like, you know what? I'm in a niche. And I don't focus on women professionals. I'm focus on women that I'm like interacting with all the time. And then through this mentorship, this unofficial mentorship, that's when I started being introduced to the world of tech.
Yeah.
And that's when my wheels really started turning. And I'm just like, okay, because you already heard me say, I'm like, I want more impact. I want to do more. I want to be more. And so, the idea of incorporating tech and emotional wellness came about, and I just started playing with it the end of last year. And now I have a team of 7, and we are building the first emotional wellness platform for women professionals. So we're excited.
Is so amazing. That when you shared that part of your story with me, I was just like, wow. So I'm not much into tech myself. In fact, we were talking a minute ago about AI, and I was throwing out my conspiracies about why it scares me. And you're over here assuring me it's okay, Sarah, it's okay. But tell me how you got connected. You were sharing with me about a grant, about a program you landed in. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So this has been so exciting. This year has really been showing out. So I got accepted into the Launch Chapel Hill and the Riot program accelerators. I chose to go with Riot. So I'm really excited. It starts next week.
Oh.
And they're going to be helping me in, building SenterMe and figuring out, all of the ins and outs of building a tech company, ed tech specifically. And I had applied for the NC Idea Engage grant to help me in starting putting on my Her Dream Life immersive workshops. And so with that, I got it. And so now I'm officially part of the NC Idea family. And now we are using these Her Dream Life immersive workshops to help women entrepreneurs to, create that work-life harmony, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny. We've been doing a lot of customer interviews, right? And I'm hearing women say they don't like to hear the word balance anymore.
Yeah.
And I love that because I know what that feels like. So we speak to harmony a lot at SenterMe because harmony is something that you can see being fluid. Like you can see it kind of shifting, and sometimes this may be a little bit more than this. And it's balance, but it's balance in motion.
Yes.
And so it's like now when we talk about true work-life harmony, like that is something that I really want to see more women becoming more like embracing of and like more curious about. And so these Her Dream Life immersive workshops, the Dare to Rule Everything Around Me are centered on true work-life harmony. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. I love the phrase work-life harmony. I think I'm total agreement. the balance makes me think of like 50-50 or
50-50.
75-25. And it's like, I don't know. I know work life. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years myself. I'm in a large company. Like,
Let's create space to
yes.
celebrate that, though. Because if you don't know, entrepreneurship is hard.
Well, I was telling someone this morning, you never stop thinking about your work, your company, your initiative. It's just always on your mind. You wake up thinking about it. You go to bed thinking about it. You probably dream about it. I know I do.
Listen, the work that I do inspires me daily. I'm energized by it. And so when I hear that, it's not like I don't receive it in a way that it's like stressing me or on me, weighing on me, but it's like, this is the thing that's lifting me up. This is the thing that's inspiring me to, be the best version of myself. And it doesn't mean that I have to be perfect, but being like authentically me. Because if you want to truly see the impact in the world that you hope to have with your business, for me, it's about showing up as your authentic self. It's about inspiring people. So for me, it's like, it's definitely on my mind all the time. I get excited about what I do.
I agree. And if it's not exciting you, then maybe
to an extent scaring you, when you see it growing and you see things happening. Like for me, when women come up to me and be like, oh my God, at the workshop, da 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 da. I had one woman hug me for like 5 minutes straight one time. And I was just like, it's been a journey for me personally to even accept that this is actually me. Because sometimes I would leave an event and I would just be like, who was that? Like, or I'll watch some of my classes again and I'm like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let me take notes.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell women all the time, like, I watch my own classes. I watch my own workshops because, when I get into that, it's an out of body experience for me sometimes, like when I get in front of these women, because I used to regret everything that I went through in my life. And now I have such a deep appreciation for everything from childhood to today. I appreciate my life because it has afforded me the opportunity to connect. And I love connecting with people.
That's powerful. Yeah.
And so whenever I get those 5-minute hugs, I'm in it like, oh my God, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I want to do so much with SenterMe because I know that when women are empowered with emotional wellness, I may be biased, but I will say this. When women are emotionally well, we are building bigger communities. We're building diverse and inclusive communities. Our businesses are thriving. We are innovative. We're opening doors. We are breaking the mold. Like we're doing things. So this power is different with women than it is with men.
No offense, men.
Right. Yeah. No offense, men. But you can see that the way we use power is a little different in that we are more community oriented. And so it's a very powerful thing when women are able to lead and be well while leading. And so I've been able to see some amazing things happen when women are able to connect with each other. So
yeah, for sure. As I'm listening to your story, the word grit keeps coming to my mind. You seem like a person that just has grit. I mean, you've been through some really crummy circumstances, and yet here you are today leading this initiative, creating this wellness platform that I think is going to be just life-changing for so many people. So, I mean, what is it inside of you where there's somebody else who probably has a similar story and they just couldn't get out of that?
When I was a little girl, and I was going through the experiences that I was going through, I would always create like this alternate space to go to. My imagination was wild as a child. And I feel like I was always reserving this space for myself to kind of preserve myself and who I was. And I don't think that I was doing it consciously, but I was a child.
Right.
And as I got older, yeah, I've lost myself. Yeah, I think that we live in a world where you're going to do that. I mean, to think that you are going to navigate this life with all of the distractions that are in this world without straying at some point and losing your focus at some point is unrealistic. And so I've done that, right? I've strayed away. But whenever I came back to myself, whenever I was able to find myself again, the feeling of it was just like, it was powerful. And I don't want to ever feel like I was. There's so much purpose that we all have. And when you feel it, when you're able to see like, oh, just because my breath is purpose for me, because I'm here, I'm purposeful. There is no going back to what was once a thing. Like, fear has had its way with me, even in this part of my journey. But because I know who I am, it ain't gonna have its way for long.
Right.
I am a firm believer that you practice returning home to self. You don't practice non-distraction. Distraction is going to happen. People are like, oh, you got to stay focused. You can't get distracted. You're going to get distracted. So your best bet is to learn, how do you find your way back to yourself?
Wow. That's wow.
You know?
When you say that, I'm thinking, how do you tell people how to return to self?
For me, it's a combination of a few things. But the first thing that I will say, and this has been on my spirit since yesterday, affirm yourself daily. Affirm yourself daily, right? Because you can't return to what you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So get to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, tell yourself who you are. Affirm yourself every single day. I started affirming myself daily 3 years ago. I have every affirmation that I've ever written down to this day. And they went from, I am love, I am peace, I am successful, to like, I rise up to my purpose. I move strategically from a secure and abundant space. I only exist in spaces that are healthy, energizing, and vast. I am impactful. I am divinely guided and protected. I trust myself. I trust those closest to me. I trust my intuition. I release control so that I can trust more,
Yeah.
And so I tell myself every day who I am. I meditate daily, because the mind, sometimes we think that we are our mind, we are our thoughts, right? And it's not enough to say, oh, you're not your thoughts, you're aware of them. But practicing returning to yourself can look like drifting off and entertaining this thought and then coming back to the breath. Not being hard on yourself. Like, oh, I messed up because I got distracted. But, oh, here's another opportunity to return back to myself. Here's another opportunity for me to return to the breath. And you just keep doing that. These are these baby steps that you may not see. I've heard people say, oh my God, I've been meditating for a few months. I don't really feel like anything's happening. Girl, when you get tested, when you lose yourself, that's when when you are able to come back and say, all right, I'm going to take this time. I'm just going to take some breaths. I'm going to widen this space between trigger and response so that I can align with my highest good. I'm going to be patient with myself. And the crazy thing is just like, the more we grow in being patient with ourselves, the more we grow in being able to give ourselves grace and compassion, the more we can give it to others. And the way that we respond to ourselves is reflected in the way that we respond to the world around us. And so this work is that you're doing internally, that is helping you to create this harmony with your external environment as well. And so everything that you're doing for yourself is going to benefit everything around you.
Right. And others that you interact with.
That's the dream, the dare to rule everything around me, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, returning to self is it's a few different things that you can do, from meditation, affirming yourself daily, being able to be in stillness, you know. Some people, struggle with that, but I tell them, hey, listen, start where you are. If you can only take stillness for 60 seconds, that's a win.
Yeah.
I told myself the top of last year, so if I could do this all over again, I would celebrate myself more. And then I had a thought right after that, like, well, why don't you do it now? Like,
Oh, right.
you know? And so now that's why I was just like, there's a space to celebrate here. Like, I'm always on the lookout for celebrating myself too, because these are, like we were talking about before we started, when I was doing them planks this morning.
Yeah.
You've done this before. You can do this.
Right. You can do hard things.
Yeah,
You've done it before.
Exactly. And so it's just like, returning to self, there's an opportunity. And that's why I love emotional wellness so much, because I believe that our emotions are mechanisms for expansion. And so anytime you experience an emotion, there's an opportunity there for you to expand. There's an opportunity there for you to grow. There's an opportunity there for you to learn more about who you are and how you respond to yourself, and ultimately how you respond to the world around you. So every single day, you are presented with an opportunity to expand.
That's so good. When can I sign up for your workshops? I'm like, just keep coming, Charlotte. Just keep sharing.
So we have Her Dream Life, the one I'm partnering with NC on the 27th of this month. And I'm really excited because we're going to be recording some of the women there speaking affirmations, and we're going to be using those sound bites on the app. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
really excited.
That's awesome. So this app, this platform you're building out, this will be accessible for women or anyone, or like, who is the target?
Women professionals are our primary target, right? And so they're going to be, it's an EdTech platform. So there's going to be a lot of education available for women to come in, whether they're wanting to learn more about reflection, learning more about acceptance, learning more about expression, healthy expression, letting go, boundaries.
One of my favorite topics.
Oh my gosh, what? And they're just going to be able to immerse themselves into the community that comes with it as well, right?
Nice.
And so, and the thing is, I knew that I wanted to teach, but I didn't want it to be something that was just kind of like, taking these courses, taking these quizzes. So what I've been doing is I've been building like podcast episodes with other wellness professionals, asking them like, hey, let's work together. Let's build this class.
Right.
But we're going to present it like a podcast episode, right?
Cool.
So all of the questions that we're using are questions that are very intentional in creating a flow where you're learning about the topic, you're learning about what it is, why it's so important, how to start doing it, and then all of these other benefits that come with it. And so there's an opportunity for me to collaborate with other professionals in the wellness space. There are going to be guided meditations. There are going to be quick consumption content like Her Dream Life in 7. So those are like 7-minute audios that you'll be able to experience, blog posts, articles, pictures, everything that we can do to really kind of like engage different types of learners. We're like putting together this garden of content for each of these topics that are going to allow you to really just have this immersive experience with emotional wellness and with other women who are on this journey too, who get it, right? There are going to be different discussions, different interest groups. So yeah, we're excited about it for sure.
When do you anticipate it, like the rollout?
So we start beta testing in May.
Okay.
So my team and I, we're just like really excited about it because, like I said, we've been doing customer interviews, and it's just been really interesting because so many women are just like, okay, and so when did you say that it was going to be coming out?
Now, I'm assuming I'm assuming people will pay for this service, right? Or is it free? Like, how is this going to work for you?
So, I was doing some research with
Mm-hmm.
some of our competitors, and I was like, just reading all of their critical reviews. And what are the things that I noticed the most is that people really want to feel like they're being valued.
Mm.
They want to feel like their money is being
Right.
valued, their time, their energy. And so, we have a freemium model
Mm-hmm.
where there is free access to the platform, and you'll have access to a limited curated amount of
Mm.
content. You have access to the community. And then when you feel like, you know what, I want more of this. I love what I'm experiencing. Then you can go into the paid membership that will
Okay.
allow you a limitless
Mm-hmm.
access to the content.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
hmm
Yeah.
And then also so the events that we have, one of the things I think really differentiates SenterMe from other platforms is that it's not just a virtual space. So we're partnering up with spas, therapists, wellness centers, yoga studios. And so what our goal is to be able to create this hybrid community model where our members are not only going to benefit from our virtual
Mm-hmm.
workshops and the virtual community space, but they're also going to be able to be able to participate in our in-person events and
Right.
other partnerships. So, for example, and I'm just throwing this
Mm-hmm.
out there. If we partner up with True Rest Spa, which is a float spa,
Yeah.
they say, "Hey, we want to give SenterMe users X amount of
Right.
discount to come in and have a float with us." Blah blah blah. Now our members are not only being able to get exposure to an eclectic educational content resource and community, but they're also now starting to become more aware of what's available to them in their local community to help to personalize their stress management system for
Mm-hmm.
themselves, right? And so you may find that floating is actually your thing. And so that's one of the things I feel like I'm really excited about is
Yeah.
being able to help a community come together in wellness.
Yeah, I can tell you really value community.
Oh
Like you're
yeah.
really, I mean, that's great. You're really trying to incorporate that aspect.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is a that's I think that community is so much power in it.
Mm-hmm.
When we come together, and not just because we have similarities or not just because we have things that similar interest or whatever, but we come together because we understand that the bigger picture here is that together is how we make the most progress.
Mm.
Together is how we see our babies and their babies having more full and richer lives because, and I'm going to say this, we didn't come here to be stressed out.
Mm. You mean come to this planet or
This
come to
life,
this life?
this world. We
Right.
didn't come here to be stressed out. We didn't come here to be treated like animals.
Mm.
We came here to enjoy ourselves, to allow our light, our gifts, our talents to not only shine and to flourish and to grow, but to serve one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we come together in community and figure out like how our uniqueness is something that can actually help us grow, the more we are securing a very vibrant future for ourselves. And this goes even beyond we can't, like I said it before, we can't treat other people better than we treat ourselves.
Mm.
And so when we start growing and learning how to give ourselves that love, that compassion, that grace, not only are we going to start seeing it to each other, but we're also going to start seeing it in the way that we treat our environment, the way that we treat animals. Like, I'm not a vegan because I think it's a great lifestyle. I love meat. But I just cannot with the way that we, treat our animals, the way that we are going about the whole food industry. Like, I just think that if we grow in ourselves first, it's going to just permeate so beautifully in our community, in our world. And I may not live to see that,
Right.
but I'm damn sure going to be a part of that catalyst.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we live in a very me-centric society, a very selfish, prideful society. There are more people walking around with that versus people like yourself who are just willing and openly giving back and stirring up connections and community. So I do agree. I mean, I think that there has got to be a shift.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're headed down this plummeting hole if there's not a big intervention, shift, something.
And I think that that's the thing. Like, we were hit with something with COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us realized how unhappy we were with ourselves. And not only that, though, but it was just like we were able to see what happens when people come together, even in a virtual sense. We were able to see like people having, parties online and that's why, that was another thing too. Like we got to see how utilities could be free. Like, like I feel like we were able to see all of these things that granted we were in the midst of something that was just devastating to the humanity, but we were also able to see like, okay, this is powerful. Like when we have to come together, and so anytime I'm like connecting with other women entrepreneurs, like I host a monthly female founders group online. And we focus on like information sharing. We talk about emotional wellness, funding, networking, or like if I'm just having a coffee with somebody. I don't drink coffee, I drink tea. But I'm just, people call it coffee.
Yes.
And so I'll ask them before we wrap up, I'm like, hey, do you know of anybody that that could be that I could that would be a great connection for me? Who are you looking for? Like, what do you feel like, what kind of introductions are going to make it good for you? Like, I want to know because now I'm really coming into this connector thing,
Yes.
right? And it's my dream to be, if not anything, cohesion for community, for sure.
I love that. I love connector people. I mean, I'm a therapist at heart. That's who I am. And so, yeah, that human connection, building on those connections.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful. And it's the essence of life. I mean, truly, connection is.
We're social creatures.
Hardwired for connection. I say it all the time.
Exactly. And that's how we're going to see us thrive, So that's what I believe.
You have an amazing story, a great turn your life around story. If you can leave the listeners with one piece of encouragement, something they can take away today, what would you say to them?
I was thinking about that. I was just like, what? I'm just going to feel the vibe when I get there.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would have to say, there isn't anyone or anything in this world that can take from you what belongs to you. You have to know who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to embrace all the parts of yourself. When you do that, and it's a journey. It's a journey that sometimes it's going like this, it feels like, and sometimes it's going like this, but know that it's always trending up. Right? So you're going to have those down,
valleys,
but it's always trending up as long as you continue to remind yourself who you are. And don't be stuck on this one version of yourself. Allow yourself to grieve, different versions of yourself all the time. Because you're not meant to be the same person you were last year. So embrace yourself. Know yourself, and I can promise you won't have to chase a thing. Everything that belongs to you is going to flow easily to you because as you grow into your authenticity, you become a magnet to everything that belongs to you. And that's what I would leave with everyone.
I love that deeply. I love that. Thank you, Charlotte, for sharing that. I wish you the best. I don't think you need luck. I think it is going to flow to you because you are a magnet of energy.
Thank you.
I just so appreciate you taking time today to share.
Absolutely.
Is there a website that people can go to follow you or find out more about SenterMe?
Yes, SenterMe.com. SenterMe.com.
With an S.
SEN, yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
SENTERME.com. Follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. SenterMe is on all of those platforms, TikTok. And yeah, come to our events. We have the Her Dream Life Immersive Workshop, March 27th. It's a free workshop for women entrepreneurs or women in the entrepreneur support space are also welcome. So yeah, let's get this work in. Let's get this love in.
Let's get this love in, this self-love.
Yes,
love others.
absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening.